Hello, our dear viewers. Today I will be informing you about a very interesting topic. In the sweltering summer of 1518, something unexplainable, something truly terrifying, descended upon the city of Strasbourg. It began quietly. Just one woman, no music, no celebration, no reason. She simply danced. Her name was Frau Trophäa. On July 14th, on a narrow cobbled street outside her timber-framed home, Trophäa started to move with wild, jerking motions, her feet pounding the stones, arms slicing the air. She danced with neither joy nor rhythm, but with a feverish, unstoppable energy. Her neighbors watched with curiosity at first, then concern, then horror, because she wouldn't stop. Hours turned into days. People begged her to rest. Some tried to restrain her, but her body refused to yield. This wasn't a performance, it was a possession. And then, others joined her. First a handful, then dozens. Within days, over 30 people had fallen under the same bizarre compulsion. They danced in the streets, their faces vacant, their bodies drenched in sweat. Some convulsed, some screamed, others collapsed and rose again, pulled by a force no one could name. By August, the number had ballooned to over 400 victims. It wasn't just a spectacle, it was an epidemic, a dancing plague, and it was killing people. Eyewitnesses described feet bursting open, blood pooling in shoes, limbs spasming violently. There were reports, grim and unforgettable, of people dancing until their hearts gave out. Stroke, heart attack, sheer brutal exhaustion, as many as 15 deaths a day at the peak of the outbreak. And yet, they kept dancing. Why? No one knew. The city spiraled into chaos. The Strasbourg City Council, desperate for answers, turned to physicians. Their solution? Let them dance. Yes, doctors of the time believed that the only way to cure this madness was to surrender to it. Guild halls were cleared, musicians were hired, dancers were gathered like cattle and given space to wear themselves out. Men were even assigned to keep them upright as they stumbled and spasmed through hours, days of torment. It backfired, terribly. Instead of curing the afflicted, it made things worse. More joined in, believing that the dance was a punishment from the heavens. Saint Vitus, the 4th century martyr believed to afflict sinners with uncontrollable dancing, was blamed. People danced not just from compulsion, but from fear. Soon, panic consumed Strasbourg. The council reversed course. Music was banned, public dancing outlawed. The afflicted were ordered to the shrine of Saint Vitus, nestled in the mountains. They wore red shoes sprinkled with holy water. Crosses were painted on their soles. Incense burned. Latin prayers echoed through the valleys. And just like that, the dancing stopped. By early September, the strange hysteria faded as mysteriously as it had begun. Those who danced were forgiven. Strasbourg was silent again, but the question remained. What had just happened? Centuries later, historians still debate what truly caused the dancing plague of 1518. And it wasn't the first time Europe saw something like it. Back in the 11th century, villagers in Kolbig, Saxony, claimed to have been cursed by divine judgment. Dozens of people seized by frenzied rhythmic convulsions. In 15th century Italy, a woman reportedly bitten by a tarantula was only cured through constant furious dancing, an event that birthed the dance known as the tarantella. So what was happening? Let's explore the theories. Theory 1. Ergot poisoning. One of the most widely known explanations points to ergot, a toxic fungus that grows on rye and other grains. Ergot contains alkaloids, including ergotamine, structurally similar to LSD. The argument? People had unknowingly consumed contaminated bread, triggering hallucinations, convulsions, and an altered sense of reality. The idea is compelling, especially considering ergot's link to other historical phenomena like the Salem witch trials. But historian John Waller disagrees. He points out that ergotism typically causes vomiting, paralysis, or gangrene, not marathon dancing. Moreover, it seems improbable that hundreds of people reacted identically, or that the poisoning lasted for weeks in some cases. Could a bad loaf of bread cause you to dance yourself to death? Probably not. Theory 2. Mass hysteria. This theory has more traction among scholars. What if the dancing plague was a psychological response to intense social and emotional stress? Strasbourg in 1518 was a city under siege, not by armies but by fear. Famine, disease, and widespread death loomed over daily life. The people were deeply religious, constantly fearing divine retribution or demonic possession. This combination, Waller suggests, made the city ripe for a psychological phenomenon known as mass psychogenic illness. Under this theory, the dancing was a physical manifestation of trauma, a stress-induced collective trance state. Like laughter or yawning, it spread from one to another. And this isn't just medieval nonsense. Modern parallels exist. In 1962, students at a girls' school in Tanzania began to laugh uncontrollably. The laughter spread, causing dozens of other schools to close temporarily. In South Korea in the 1980s, factory workers fainted en masse, believing they were poisoned. They weren't, but their minds and their bodies believed they were. So, what happened in Strasbourg could have been the same, a psychological epidemic, born of trauma, religious fear, and relentless hardship. Theory 3. Religious ecstasy and sin. Purging. There's another explanation, one rooted in spirituality. Some scholars argue that the dancing was an act of religious release. People believed they were purging their sins, seeking forgiveness by offering their bodies in sacrifice. During the outbreak, many people begged to be taken to St. Vitus's shrine. They believed that only he could deliver them. The rituals there, dancing in red shoes, holding crosses, chanting prayers, were seen as ways to cleanse their souls. In this theory, the dancers weren't victims, they were penitents, and maybe they were both, the legacy of the dancing plague. So what became of the 1518 outbreak? It ended as abruptly as it began. Some of the dancers recovered, some never did. Some were buried in unmarked graves, remembered only as victims of an invisible, irresistible force. But the legend lived on. To this day, Strasbourg remembers. Artists, musicians, and authors continue to revisit the story of the plague that made people dance. Jonathan Glazer's haunting 2020 short film, Strasbourg 1518, reimagines the movements through eerie, disconnected modern choreography. Florence and the Machine's track Choreomania draws directly from the events, as does the entire Dance Fever album. Graphic novels, speculative fiction, even a rap song titled Rat King 1518. This bizarre event has found a place in pop culture, because it's not just a story of dancing, it's a story of mystery, of fear, of human fragility, a reminder that our minds can betray us, that history doesn't always make sense, and that sometimes the strangest plagues don't come with sores or fevers, but with rhythm. Please continue to listen to us and watch us.